We are live. We are going to just spend the afternoon or a few minutes just doing some question and answer stuff and talking about construction and helping out wherever we can. So my name's Max. It's great to have you along. I'm the CEO of Smith & Sons, and I'm the founder of Business for Builders. So it's going to be a good afternoon. So let's get cracking. I think that's what we want to do, get straight into some questions. We've got a few. What's the first one, champ? What do we got? What have we got?
As a GC, should you do it yourself or sub it out?
Okay, as a GC, in other words, if I'm a carpenter, do I go and look? I think it comes down to, you as an individual. I know, there's some guys that have real issues with having people work for them, and it's okay. I know when I first got my builder's license, and I know one of the first projects I did, which I thought was a monster at the time, was only about 46 grand or 52,000 or something, and it was one bathroom upstairs, and some other. I think it might have done the laundry downstairs as well. And I know on that job, I did all of the demo, all the framing, all the boarding, and then I did sub out some of those specialties, like mudding and taping, all that wonderful stuff that, maybe you love doing or you hate doing, and obviously tiling, electrical, plumbing, all that sort of stuff. So, and that's really great because I was able to keep my neck on the throat of the project, and I was able to maintain really high standards. I was able to make sure that things were getting done in order. I was able to make sure that it was being built in accordance with the client specifications and everything like that. But the problem or the challenge with that, and if that's what you want to do, and you know what, sometimes it's good to just do that for a certain amount of time. But I think if you want to build, let's say, a multi-million-dollar construction business, that's got limitations on it. There's only so much. You might only be able to do $250,000 of sales in a year because you're only one person, and so you're going to need to get some help. So that's really what I would call is your safety zone, where you've really got control over the majority of the project, right from the sales process in the quoting and estimating, and then obviously through the majority of the construction, right from the commencement right through to completion or substantial, or where you get the occupancy. That's really a really pleasant place, and it gives you a lot of satisfaction. Now, here's the knock-on effect by doing that is you're going to make a lot of clients really happy because you do a really top job. And then what happens is other clients will come to you based on referrals and say, hey, can you do my bathroom? Can you do my addition? Can you do my kitchen? And then what you'll find is you're such a good person and you want to help everybody. You don't say no, and you don't use the words waiting list. And so what happens is all of a sudden you get overwhelmed, and then you start acting desperately and not deliberately. And so, we want to make sure that as that's where business development comes in if you want to grow the business. But alternatively, you got to know where to put a lid on it as far as, learn to say the words either no or waiting list, and that's really, you've just got to really make sure that the tail doesn't wag the dog. So that's the upside and the downside of, being a one-man or woman band as opposed to build a business. What you got?
Lee is actually watching.
Leroy! Yeah, I just sent him an email. Hey, buddy. All right, let's show these Aussies how to do it.
Yeah.
G'day, mate. Put another shrimp on the barbie. That's what all the Canadians do. It's just a load of horse shit. Just on that too, by the way, people say, would you like a Foster's? And I'm like, no, we don't drink Foster's. And because it's we don't drink it because it's not really good beer, but we sell it to the North Americans and they friggin' love it. So the first Foster's I ever drank was when I came out here about 7 years ago. Other than that, we don't drink Foster's. So happy days. All right, what else you got? Give me another question.
How do you deal with bad clients?
With a 12 gauge. No, jokes. Kidding. Friggin' joking, okay? Don't go all crazy on me in the comments. Look, I don't know. You know what? This is what I do. I would say that you can reduce the amount of, when you say bad clients, that's a pretty nasty comment.
There's a couple comments.
Look, I don't know that there's any such thing as a bad client. I think what we do is we sometimes create our own bad clients. Leroy, you behave, mate. But I think you can avoid what you would call less enjoyable clients in the sales process. I know there's some guys in my group here in Canada that really wish they didn't sign up, or go to contract with some of these clients. And when I really dive into some of the data, it really, they may have either rushed it or they might have, let's say, not put a decent amount of profit in it, or they were too conservative because they were too desperate to win the job. And then really it's obscured their view of what in reality what they should be doing, and that is not being desperate to win a job. So, and then of course that's something that you may have seen in, once you get into construction, you have a really tricky or challenging experience with a client. Then you look back and go, yeah, there was red flags. I should have listened to my intuition and just avoided that person like the plague, but I didn't because I wanted to get to the job because I was desperate. But then there's some cases where clients are very long suffering and they do put up with your bullshit, and then eventually they had enough and they lose their shit at you, and then they turn into a, quote unquote bad client. So, it's really, you sometimes do it to yourself. Actually, if you don't get them in the sales process and they get them into construction, you're stuck with them. And then sometimes it's through your own operation where you actually, really create a bit of a challenge for yourself. All right, we've got another question.
So somebody said, "G'day, mate. I just want to say your content is so helpful. Much love from Melbs."
Melbs. Alrighty. Look, thanks for the big love too. I really appreciate the feedback, and it's why we do it. We don't do it for the money. We do it for the love. So I really appreciate that feedback. That makes me feel good on a Friday afternoon. Considering I copped a freaking bashing on TikTok yesterday because of the appliance video, but we'll get to that later. Yeah. There's a question there from Jacob. He's in GTA. Jill, that is greater. No, it's not. You idiot. Greater Toronto area. Right. We're in Vernon, British Columbia. We are in the Okanagan Valley, Jacob. Thanks for asking, man. Just north of Kelowna. Yeah. So, that answers that question. Okay. Now, actually, Jacob's got a question there too, eh? Do you get something constantly undercut?
He said it happens all the time, or you get constantly undercut, like pricing.
Yeah, look, I think... I would say this. I only talked to one of my guys either yesterday afternoon or today, and he got the go-ahead to go to contract and everything with a client, and all of a sudden the client today says, oh, no, we've decided to go with someone else. That would have been a classic case of what Jacob's talking about, being undercut. However, what I would say is that that's one of those bad clients. So we go back to the first question, how do we deal with bad clients? Well, maybe what my guy just did is actually dodged a bullet, because maybe that client was posturing and pretending that he could do business with Smith & Sons. But when we actually started to call him out and go, right, you've agreed to the price, let's go, they got cold feet. And maybe because they're price oriented and they didn't want to commit to that scope of work for that price. And so maybe that's, maybe there was a dodged bullet. So what I wouldn't worry about, Jacob, is getting undercut. What I would worry about is making sure you've got as much inquiry top of funnel as you can, to make sure you've got plenty of choice as who you can quote for and actually do work for. So I wouldn't worry about being undercut. We don't compete on price. Competing on price is a race to the bottom. So if you got guys and gals out there undercutting you and just basically winning jobs on price, those clowns they're not making money, and they won't have a business that grows. They're just going to be very busy but not very profitable. So I would urge you guys and girls to not just be busy. When people say, oh, how's it going? And you go, oh, I'm busy as a blue ass fly. That's an Aussie saying. But I want you to be profitable, not just busy. Busy and profitable, not just busy, right? So there you go. Hopefully that helps out. What have we got next?
This is a TikTok comment from last week. What do you mean by give value? I feel it's a pretty good
Thanks
question.
for the comment last week. Yeah. that's what Jill was thinking as well. Thanks for the comment last week. So it was about what? How do we give value?
What do you mean by give value?
Yeah, look, I think it's different things for different clients. But what we're saying is you're either going to, the way that we win our jobs is by demonstrating value. So the question is, okay, Max, fine, but how do I demonstrate value? Well, it's okay, so what we do, a really basic thing that stands out, you want to separate yourself. You don't want to be just another tree in the forest, and you want to make sure that there's something that the clients see in you and your building company that is not, that other builders aren't doing. So what we do is we focus now right here especially in Western Canada, and this is probably a big North American thing, or at least Canadian thing, where they do a lot of cost plus building contracts. Where I come from, no such thing as, cost plus. I didn't even really know that was a feasible option in the residential marketplace. So what I did to stand out is I developed a system here in Canada off the back of what we did in Australia, and it's all around how we sell fixed price contracts. So if you're saying, okay, how do I demonstrate value? So this is what we do. Fixed price building contracts. We have a full list of specifications which we design and develop before we go to the build contract. So we have a thing called a quantity takeoff service, which is essentially a preliminary build contract where we do all the design and plan. So shout out to my Kiwi mate, Rion. He helped us design this design plan construct methodology. And if you go to smithandsons.ca, you can see that. And so what we do is once we've developed the specifications and we've calculated the price off the back of the specifications, and then we use our software to create a project duration, so we can calculate if it's a 6-week project or a 6-month project. Those are the certain things that clients look at and go, okay, I know exactly what it's going to cost. I know exactly what I'm getting, and I know exactly when it's going to be finished. That demonstrates value as it relates to peace of mind and security. And clients eat that shit up. That's what they want. They don't want to have the unknown quantity, the blind side, the scary, I don't know what this project's going to cost me at all. I know there's a guy in this town that he asked for a carriage house to get built by another competitor builder, and he said, look, I can't, a carriage house for the Kiwis and Aussies, it's a granny flat. And he said, look, I haven't got a cracker over 300 grand to do this. Can you do it? The builder's like, yeah, sure, I can. And so anyway, 8 months later or whatever it was, ended up costing this poor guy 380 grand. And he basically had to spend the next 6 months paying off this build to the builder. When the builder didn't give a shit, he just kept charging him. That's what we talk about of separating. We're separating ourselves from our competitors. We are giving ourselves a competitive advantage because we're actually focusing on the psychology of our clients. So we understand who our clients are. We've created what we call a preferred client profile, and then we actually message to those types of clients, and we also then we really cater to those types of clients and give them. We found out what's important to them. We make it important to us. We make it a part of our proposal, and then we do business. So we find that it really works for us. So that's how you present value. That's one way of presenting value. Here's another way of presenting value. Freaking show up when you say you're going to show up. Answer your damn phone and respond to freaking emails. Rant over.
Okay. Another question here. What is one thing regarding your construction business that you wish you knew sooner?
To qualify leads. Qualify leads. Look, I think, I might have shared this on a podcast recently, but when I run a Smith & Sons franchise in Queensland, I would do my own marketing, which is unbelievable. But anyway, we would do letterbox drops, 20,000 letterbox drops, and that would cost me $1,200 a month back then, 10 years ago or more, and we would just, anybody that was warmed up to body temperature and breathing who would walk in or ring us, we'd go and do a meeting. Like, yeah, we'll give you a quote. And we just spent so much time quoting for, wood ducks or clients that really didn't qualify or didn't fit the bill or we should not have been working for. And so, it was really something that back then I could have saved myself a shit ton of money if I had have understood how to qualify and the power of qualification, because I had really good top of funnel. I had lots of leads coming in. What I should have done is just searched through, let's call it the dirt for want of a better term, and find the gold. Folks, what you want to do is you want to be working for the gold, and you've got to move a lot of dirt to find the gold. That's why you need a lot of top of funnel to be able to get down to those that are the players, not the pretenders. That's one thing that it would probably have helped me 10 years ago. What else?
Why is it important to set boundaries with clients?
Yeah, look, I think it's not a case of, it's like, I got 6 kids, right? Wait for the comments to come in. Yeah, 6 kids, 1 gal, no twins. I think it's important because what clients do is very much, and this is not derogatory, but they want what they want, and they don't really give a shit about your feelings. And so what they do is they don't have any filters. Yeah, it is. They don't really care about your process. And so this is what I would say, as it relates to setting boundaries, just be clear that you want to make sure that these clients or these prospective customers are actually buying in accordance with your selling process, and that you're not selling in accordance with their buying process. So that's why it's super important, because what ends up happening is you allow the clients to take the lead, and now you've got the tail wagging the dog, and now you're frigging pissed and you wonder why. Well, you've done it to yourself again, Mr. or Mrs. Builder. And so this is why you've got to have these systems in place that are by design, not by default. You've got to make sure that you're leading the process, leaders lead. But if you haven't got something that is in place, and I'm telling you, I don't mean you've just got a good idea. I mean, you've got the thing written down. As far as your sales process, I just run a new project consultant for one of our guys through 2 days of training. And that, what I'd prepared for that was 5 PowerPoints and probably a 400 or 500 page operations file for the project consultant. So I don't just sit here and say to you, you really need to sit down and design that. This is what I do. It's, this is not something that we just talk about. It's something that we actually do. It's how I onboard. It's how I do the initial training for a project consultant. And it really does give you strength in the area of, systemization, especially as it relates to sales. All right, let's go.
We just had somebody say, "I'll shout the TV mate." I'm not sure what that means.
Right.
I don't know if
Shred Automotive. Shout out to Shred Automotive. I'll shout ya the TV mate. Right. So this has got to be an Aussie.
No idea what that means.
No idea.
If he wants
to none
elaborate.
Of our creative crew, because they're mostly Canadian. Shred, and I don't know. I'll shout you the TV mate. I don't think we've got a TV in the background. No, not sure. Oh, here we go. He's sending us some love. I don't know. I'll shout you the TV, mate. We need some clarification. Aussie, 100%. Attaboy. I'm a huge fan. Are you open to some private mentoring for a guy in Victoria? AU. Daniel, that's Daniel Foster. I think we've had Dan on the show.
Yeah.
And Shred Automotive's like, oh, shit, what was his original comment? I'll shout you the TV. Yeah, I should have thrown that one. Dude, I got 4 TVs, bro. That's how efficient I am. Oh, shit. Let's go back. Daniel Foster. Man, look, I had a call from a guy in Ontario, and actually he might be watching. Look, it's really hard for me to offer. I would love to offer mentoring and coaching to just about anybody I can in the building game, because I just know that GCs are starving for it. The challenge I have, and I really, from the bottom of my heart, I really do appreciate the communication, but I just know that I can't split myself between, I'm already mentoring and coaching 8 general contractors in Smith & Sons here in Canada, and it's growing all the time. And they're developing businesses at a high rate of knots. Like I said, 2 days ago, or the last 2 days, I've been training a brand new project consultant for one of my franchised operators, and I'm always designing systems. I've been sitting at my desk for half a day today, looking at how to do a quality assurance checklist right from demolition right through to completion, because I want to give my guys the tools. So when folks approach me and say, can you give us a hand with some mentoring, I don't know that I've got the physical resources to do it. So the best you can do, I think, is this is me giving of myself as much as I can. And to go any deeper than that, it's just super difficult. But look, what I'm going to do is I can help you out. max@businessforbuilders.ca. If you want to hit me up one question at a time, don't flood me with massive, lengthy novel size emails. Hit me with your top number one problem and let me address that one at a time. And I can coach you at a distance and one email at a time. But don't flood me, dude. So, but I'm really, happy to help out, any way that I can, just sort of at a distance. If that's going to help you, if it's too slow, then I might be able to make some recommendations. I might reach out to some other practitioners in the field that do coaching for general contractors, and I'll have a chat with them, because I'm starting to get, this is, 2 or 3 times a week, GCs, builders, etc., are reaching out to me saying, hey, can you help us out? So, let's see what I can do for free on this type of platform, and then maybe we can do something one question at a time on the email, and let's see if we can't help you punch through some of these ceilings and get some systemization happening, and that's what I can offer for no charge, and I'm happy to do that. So righto.
Well, another thing that they could look into is a Smithy's franchise in Australia.
Yeah, well, look, this is the thing, but
Well, if they're interested.
Yeah, look, I think we have got, I don't know, there's probably 90 plus franchises in Australia and New Zealand. I think there's 26 in New Zealand and the balance is in Australia. So there's definitely opportunity. If you're in Melbourne, I can put you on to Rob. So shoot me an email.
It's in the comments.
Yep.
Your email.
I might be able to sort of forward you in that direction. But if they want to deal with me, then they're not gonna compromise on that. So let's go the avenue with free content here. We're gonna do TikTok lives. No sweat, Dan. Sweet as a nut, mate. Hey, and we're going to do lives. We're going to do this live at this time roughly on our Friday, which is a Saturday morning for the Aussies and Kiwis. And then we also do, when we record a podcast, which is essentially like every Tuesday, which would be 3 days ago, wherever you are right now, then we're doing a TikTok live whilst we do. So it's, what do we call it? It's not in the background. What do you call it? Behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's like a podcast.
Yeah. So we record the podcast and we're actually going to do TikTok live at the end of it. So you're going to a Q&A at the end of the podcast. So we're going to try and, which is a real stretch for me because it's already, we're already giving up a bunch of content. So, but yeah, that's what else we can do. So twice a week, we're going to be with you on TikTok live and, anything that we can do, we put out across on YouTube and TikTok. And do we do stuff on Facebook as well? I think we do, don't we? Yeah.
We don't
just more content, more educational,
We're
informational.
Everywhere. We're everywhere.
Digital omnipresence. That's what we've got, guys and gals. So, sweet. What are we? Where are we up to now?
Could you compare
4 TVs? Hell. Yep.
Could you compare cost plus and fixed price building contracts, like pros and cons to both?
Yep. Okay. So look, cost plus. Like I alluded to this before, but the reason that I think that a lot of builders go cost plus is because it's like, well, how am I supposed to quote you a renovation when I can't see behind the drywall? Now, the thing is, where I came from, we never did have the cost plus option. It just was never pitched. It was always fixed price. Hang on, I got a question. Hey, Max, what can you advise an apprentice wanting to succeed in construction? So we'll come back to fixed price.
We'll come back. I'll just circle it.
Thanks for the question. Now, I don't want to pronounce it. That's Max. M-A-K.
Max-Sood.
Righto. Thanks for the question. Look, I think, I've had a couple of 18-year-olds who've hit me up with a similar question that have said, hey, I want to be a GC. I want to be successful. And this is what I would say. You got 2 ears and 1 mouth. I'm freaking 49 right now. I started in 1989. I'm pretty sure that Max Sood wasn't even a twinkle in his old man's eye at that stage. So I'm like old and almost washed up. And so, and look at me go, right? So what I would say to you, Mac, is that you got a shit ton of time. What I need you to do is understand the fundamental concept that the more you learn, the more you earn. So you say to me, I want to succeed in construction. Well, you'll succeed off the back of how much head knowledge you have, how systemized you have, how much of a good understanding of construction fundamental business practices that you have. And that is really, so the more you learn, the more you earn. So your attitude determines your altitude. So if you want to be a construction high flyer, then that's what it's going to take, right? So, and it's not going to happen in 5 minutes. So that's the other part. You've got to be patient. You've got to understand, like I play in a bit of a cover band. I love a bit of rock and roll, do a few pub gigs and whatnot. And I could, if you're a guitarist, give me a rock and roll. But if you're not and you wanted to learn guitar, what I'd say to you is you have got to get familiar. You've got to be familiar with the equipment, with the scales, with the notes. You've got to have some knowledge first before you could even join a cover band or whatever. And then you've got to, and the way that you do that is you do what I do. So I go into my jam space at 7:15. This is what I did the other night, 7:15. And I actually looked down and it was midnight. It was just like 4.5 hours went just like that. So, that's what you're going to have to do. And so you've got to be consistent. You've got to be persistent. And you can't talk a big game and then just not back it up. Ideas are shit. Execution's the game. So if you want to win, go and get better, right? Don't wish it to be easier. Go get better. That's how you're going to knock it out of the park. And so what you've got to consistently do is just put one foot in front of the other. Be prepared to cock it up occasionally, right? I spend an ungodly amount of time making mistakes, doing assessments. How do I do it better? What do I do different? And so what we have is this plan, do, check routine. Plan, do, check. Plan, do, check. because we know that we don't get it right all the time. What we do is we don't know if it's going to produce a good outcome or not. So we have to go and execute and try it. And then some of it's going to be good, some of it's going to be not so good, but all of it might be bad. And then we just deal with that, throw it out, and go back into the redesign and start over. So, Mac, I hope that doesn't rain on your parade, bro. But life is a long time, and you've got a shit ton of life ahead of you, so you can be a ninja. Now, just as a quick close to this point, my boss, who is only about 5 or 6 years my senior, he's a mega wealthy builder. And, just if you're on the Gold Coast in Queensland, Phil built and you can check it out. Shit, I don't know what the second name of the high rise. The first two that he built was called the H2O Towers. You can Google that shit. And I can't remember what the second building, 360. I think it was called Tower 360. Anyway, it's literally 2 blocks north on the Broadwater, and he built those. They're his buildings. So, I've watched Phil building bridges at a golf course, and, he basically in the last 5 years has built 2 high rises on the Gold Coast. So it just takes time, but Phil's like, in his early 50s now, mid 50s. So it just shit takes time. And I'll tell you something else, Mac. Like, I'm 49, but really mentally, I'm still a 20-year-old because I'm a freaking clown and I really don't act my age. So life is good. Rock and roll. Next question.
Yeah, if you want to go back to the comparing cost plus and fixed price.
Look, it comes down to what you want to do as a builder. Like some of these guys in Canada, what you want to do is you might take a strategy and go and do a lot of cost plus work. And for frig's sake, don't be greedy. Concentrate on servicing the clients as it relates to building services at a really high level, and develop your skill, develop your craft, right? What you can do by cost plus, you won't make as much money. Like the guys that talk to me that do cost plus, they mark up their shit at one third of what we do. It's significantly more, 2.5 times more markup is what we do compared to what these other guys do on cost plus. And righto. You're awesome, buddy. I hope you get something out of that, Mac. And mate, yeah, keep us in the loop with how you're doing. And like I said, if you've got one question at a time, hit me with an email, max@businessforbuilders.ca. And so what you want to do is use the cost plus routine to really focus on you designing your systems, really concentrating on gathering the data as to subcontractors' rates and your building material cost. Don't just go out and say, I need to win another client to get another job. Go and say, I need to win another client to help me design my systems and help me build a reputation. Now, once you really nail down some of those systems and processes, then you might want to start thinking about going to fixed price. So I'm not saying cost plus or fixed price. I'm saying cost plus and. I'm not saying red or blue. I'm saying purple, right? You can use cost plus. If you can use it, you can actually use it to help develop your building company systems. Now, what you'll find is if you're really getting accurate in what you think things might cost because you've got rates and you've got some what I call historical data, then what you can do is you can start moving towards where you go fixed price now. Instead of, because I'm telling you right now, you're going to be doing cost plus like 15 to 20% markup, right? Now, I'm telling you right now, you can double the markup if you go to fixed price. But understand, you assume more risk. So if you don't watch what you're doing, you're going to drill yourself. Now, I've got a quick question. Hey, Joe. Joe's like, what's your favorite tool brand? Look, I think, when I was at home, yeah, definitely Milwaukee as far as cordless. And I grew up, believe it or not, a bit of a Hitachi. It was just because I just talked about my boss, my old boss. It was, he was a Hitachi guy. And of course, Makita, that's sort of where it's at. And then I come here and, DeWalt's a huge thing here. But that's about the long and the short. Everything that I use would probably be cordless anyway, mostly. And then I go back into Makita, but I don't have any Hitachi stuff anymore. So going back to cost plus and fixed price, you go to fixed price because you're more of a ninja at how you execute off the back of cost plus. What's he got? DeWalt batteries can't be beat. Oh, I know. Yeah, righto.
Haven't tried it.
It is what it is. Yeah. They're all the same shit. They come out of China. Whatever. But I think you can use cost plus to develop systems. familiarize yourself with rates, et cetera, and then go into fixed price where you're taking on more risk, but you're going to get more reward. That's the thing, right? When I talk to guys and I talk to them about fixed price and cost plus, they think I do fixed price at the same rate. And it's like, no. What you do is we don't do for the same rate because we're taking the risk. Now, I don't think clients should do cost plus because they're taking the risk. I don't believe that's right. I'm the professional builder. I should take the risk, and therefore I should get paid a premium for facilitating that. That's why I would say, now I'm talking about, you don't just go out there and say, well, I'm going to go fixed price and double my rate. You've got to now go back to what we started with, which is demonstrating value. How do we do that? Fixed price quotes, fixed price building contracts, list of specifications and inclusions, all of the things in a contract that we're going to build. All of the selections are all taken care of before we go to construction. That means you've got to use a selection sheet. And that means when we do go to contract, anything that's got a long lead time, like appliances, we can get on an order straight away and pay for and book our spot. That's the other upside with fixed price, because if you're going cost plus, you're going to start construction and then you're going to get into it a little bit and then figure out it's 12 weeks for cabinets or 16 weeks for cabinets, which is just unbelievable. I can't believe. I used to wait 4 weeks and lose my freaking mind. Anyway, that's sort of the difference. So I think it's an and or. It's not a like cost plus or. But I think if you've been doing it 15 years, I would really focus on fixed price, but you've got to be an absolute assassin and you've got to be a ninja. Don't be an arsehole. I'm just saying you've got to be consummate professional. You've got to have your systems all lined up and you've got to really nail down. Now, is that Caleb?
Yeah.
Sometimes we got to build the cabinets. Yeah, dude, I got one of my guys who happens to have a brother who's a bit of a cabinet ninja, and he does exactly the same thing because he says it's such a vulnerability and it jackknifes our build schedules all the bloody time. And I was just talking to a cabinet maker who I know, and he said, look, it's 14 to 16 weeks, and sometimes it gets worse. So, he said, look, if it's simple, we can do it, quicker. If it's smaller, we can do it. But now we've got to tell clients, look, it's 14 to 16 weeks. And if it happens sooner, then, mazel tov. But a lot of the time, they're subject to their own suppliers when they supply the raw materials. So they're not saying it because that takes them 14 weeks to build the frigging things. It's just getting their raw materials in so that they can actually put it together for us builders. So super challenging. What else we got? All right. Look, while we're in between questions, hang on. We got Monkey, want to grow my business, but don't want to get off the tools. Any advice? Right at the beginning of the show, Monkey, I started out chatting about, one of the questions was, something along the lines. Subbing out versus doing all the work yourself. And look, I just said that I really enjoy tools. Even I've got my tool trailer, 12 by 6 by 6, fully enclosed, fully decked out. I could go and start a reno tomorrow. I don't do that. I just can't help it. I've got to have my shit sitting there. I don't know. It's like a security blanket or something. But man, I would say to you, dude, if you're happy, I hope it's a dude. I apologize if it's not. It might be a dudette monkey. But, basically what I would say, but don't want to get off the tools. Look, I would say if you're happiest on the tools, I don't know how old you are, Monkey, so maybe you want to give me a heads up on maybe what year you're born or what your age is, because I know at 49 years of age, most of the guys that I chat with at 49 years of age or older are just dying to get off the tools. 35, righto. So you're right in your prime, dude. You can work 14 hours a day and back up and do office work. You've still got the chops to do that. But let's say 10 years from now, Monkey, your perception on it's a dude, sweet as. On your perception on what you want to do day to day. See, what you'll change is, so at age 35, that makes 15 years ago. I only had a couple of kids. No, I can't remember. I can't do the math, right? But I'm telling you, your family situation might change, and then all of a sudden you're going to be in a situation where your time might become more valuable than the money. And so you might need to spend some time doing other things other than working on the tools because the business becomes demanding. However, if you can regulate your business and just do 40 hours a week and be off the tools and enjoying, the company of your family and whatever, then you can actually balance it, right? And if you're content just to do $250,000 in sales or whatever you do, Monkey, then that's lit. That's fully legit. It's whatever makes you happy. Remember, even in my business, doing what we do here, multi-million dollars, it's all about legacy over currency. Now, I'm in the business to make money, don't get me wrong, but I'm really building this business because I want to see the brand develop. so that after I'm gone, it is part of my legacy, and we've helped a lot of people do a lot of good things, and it really then lives on after I'm gone. So it's really a bit of a balance. And it really comes down to what makes you happy, Monkey. It doesn't matter. Building a business doesn't mean shit. Making money doesn't mean shit. It's all about your happiness. And this is actually what I do. Just on that point, I'm a site super. Don't lose these questions. I'm writing them down. And make sure we remember who they're from. What I would say what I want you to consider, everybody who's watching this, is I want you to consider two things: your goals in life and your priorities. And what I'm talking about is, you're going to have goals. Your goal might be, oh, Max, I want to build a $2 million building company. And that's great. But if you're going to compromise your relationship with your kids or your spouse or spouse or whatever the case may be, and they friggin' hate you because you're spending so much time in the business, on the job sites, looking after clients, everything like that, and your relationship side of things blows up, what I would say is you've had your goals here and your priorities are here. And you've got a misalignment. What you've got to do is you've got to really align your goals with your priorities. And when they align, you're actually going to find that your life will be full of fulfillment. Making deals, don't get me wrong, makes me happy, but helping people succeed in the building game gives me fulfillment. Find out what gives you fulfillment, not just what makes you happy, which is normally short term, like money and shit, and really figure out that alignment between your goals and your priorities. So for me, I've been with the same girl for 27 years, I think. My bad, my apologies, Liz, if I cocked that up. But it's like we've worked out what works for us. You're right. I mean, we've been in this office 4 years. I think she's been down to this office like 6 times. She's just not interested. And so we figured out what works for us, and it really does free me up to go and do what I believe I'm called to do. And that gives me a lot of fulfillment. That really does make me super happy. And now I've got 2 of my kids working in this office too. So that even just makes it so much better. So I hope that helps. What else we got? What's next?
Mac from earlier.
Yep.
He asked, how do you convince a client to go with you instead of another builder?
Okay, what you can't do and I say I'm in sales. If I was working with a retail customer, you can't say yes or no for the other guy. So what you have to do is demonstrate the value, and then you've got to lead the way. So we talk about advancing the deal. So what I would say is it's never about convincing. What you've got to do is demonstrate value, give value, give value, give value, and then you have to ask for the business. So one way or another, Mac, you've got to knock them off the fence. And if that means you get a no, you get a no. And it's hard to do, because I know, because you put so much work into trying convince the clients. Now, if you go and look at Smith & Sons, any of our stuff on digital, on any of the social platforms, I want you to take note of some of the marketing campaigns or the brand awareness campaigns. We're all about entertaining, being informative, and in some cases, being educative. And so that when the clients people do business with people that they know, like, and trust, right? And so when you can have digital presence out there with videos, and they're speaking to my prospective clients without me, they can listen to it at their leisure and watch what they want to watch. They don't need to listen to me, the sales guy. What I've got digital and video and all that sort of thing working on my behalf, lifting the heavy end. So when I go and speak to clients, they already know a lot about my business and my brand. And all I have to do is walk them through my process and then ask for the deal at the right time. And so because people do business with people that they know, like, and trust, it's really never a case of me trying to convince them. They've already made up their mind, to purchase. And so, I think that, when I go and want to buy a motor vehicle, there's so much research that I can do online about what sort of pickup truck that I want, that when I go to my dealer, I've already made a decision who I'm going to buy from and what I want. It's now just about nailing down the price and few of the incidentals. And so if you haven't got, now this is the other advice I give to all of my guys, is that you need to have between 8 and 12, and I literally want you to count this shit, between 8 and 12 touch points, okay? And touch points are the initial phone call, the initial site visit, the email back, the conversation about some of the aspects of the business, of the project. 8 to 12 touch points. You need to generate between 8 and 12 touch points before, I'm talking to Mac, aren't I? Before Mac, You can actually ask for the business. Don't do this. Don't go and make the first phone call, do the site visit, give them a quote, and then ask for the business. That's 4 touch points. Not good enough. The client hasn't had enough chance to get to know you. So you might make a phone call and say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, I'm just touching base. I'm actually still organizing or compiling some information as it relates to your estimate or your quote, and I'm going to get back to you at the end of the week. How does that sound? And they go, yep, that'll be fine. I appreciate the update, right? So what I'm doing is I'm building rapport all the time, because when you go out there, the clients automatically distrust you, right? And so what you've got is the clients have this wall of distrust where it doesn't matter how good you look or smell, they don't trust you. And so you've got to work hard at deconstructing the wall of distrust and removing the reluctance to commit. Okay. And the way that you do that is you continually demonstrate value. Now, further to that, I would say do not start well and then get them to contract as a client and then finish off being a dick because you're lazy and you've got the deal and now you're working on the other deal and these people don't rate. That is what's going to destroy your reputation. So my advice is start well in the sales process, win the job, and finish strongly. Now, for some clients, what you want to do is, if you're not careful, Mac, or anybody else, what you're going to find is you're going to do lots and lots of quotes and quotes and quotes and quotes, and you're going to work for free. Now, I want to tell you right now, even if you've only been in the business 5 to 10 years, your knowledge and experience is worth something. So sell that shit. Pregnant pause. Right? Your knowledge and experience is worth something. So what I'm saying is if you go out to your next client and you go, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Client, you're going to pay me to give you a quote. Guess what they're going to do? Hey, you, Mr. Builder, you can jam that up your chuffer. I'm not doing it because nobody else does. Okay? And that's what you haven't done is you haven't demonstrated value. So we do 2 things. We allow our clients to get to know us before they actually talk to us. And then, obviously, as we go through, we are concentrating on building rapport. So, it's a super tricky situation. You don't want to go and ask them the business too early, but you certainly don't want to go and do a whole bunch of quoting for free. And which is why we've got a quantity takeoff service. We show them how we're going to give them a fixed price and what we're going to do. We're going to develop the specifications, have everything in place before we go to construction. And that way it's less painful whilst we go through the construction process. All right, we got any more questions?
Yep. I do not know how to pronounce this guy's name. Bad
Majar?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go with that.
Yeah.
He must be a badass.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm a site supervisor and a recent reg builder, but finding it hard to grow the biz need.
Right.
Biz I need. Mm-hmm. Stuck. He's 2 parts. Stuck on a salary and just can't leave to focus on the business. Need to pay bills.
Yeah, look, that one's okay. Okay, so he's working for a site super for a building company. He's gone and got his builder's license. Kudos, man. That's a big deal. Well done. And now you sort of look. You can't steal first base. Sorry, you can't steal second base with your foot on first base. So at some point you got to make a break. Now this comes down to a shit ton of things, such as your appetite for risk, such as your cash at bank, such as your ability to market, such as your work ethic and your ability to actually work your face off for like 18 hours a day. Look, by the way, you only need 6 hours sleep. That's all I do. Some people might go crazy.
I need at least 10.
You're soft. So this is why it comes down. It's not a black and white. It's not a black and white answer. It's very dependent on, it looks like, Bad's a really good student of the business. Going and getting a builder's license is not an easy thing. You're going to have some cash to really get started in that business. Depending on where you are, they want you to put some money into trust. In some cases in Canada, particularly, or in BC here. So look, I think what you would do to make the jump is, here's the deal. You'd want to start with smaller jobs. So look, here's what we do. With a lot of our guys coming into Smith & Sons, we start them on the smaller jobs. I mean, anything between 25 and 100 grand, they always put together about a 30%. There's another question there, mate.
Yeah, how much money generally?
Right, that's another question. That's from a different... Yeah, Bad's in Melbourne as well. Right, so what we say is we try and start them off with smaller jobs. And the reason is because the bigger jobs, let's talk about $500,000 new builds, $500,000 to $3 million. The sales cycle is very long. It could be a 6-month process. And so we got to make sure that we get the guys. So revenue is vanity. profit is sanity. So what we want to do is get into these $25,000 to $100,000 jobs. The way we mark up is going to create between 30 and 33% in gross profit margin, not markup, margin as a percentage of our revenue. And so what we do is we get cash flow, right? And so another piece of advice is if you did make the jump, you would want to then have a lot of milestones built into your fixed price contracts or into your progress payment schedule to make sure that you're regularly getting cash flow or cash injections into your business so you can push it through. And you always want to have a bow wave of cash pushing in front of you to make sure that you've got, if you haven't got commercial accounts with suppliers, then you're going to have to be running on liquid cash and you just don't want to run out of cash, right? So I would start small. Any guys that get into trouble in our ecosystem, I know that they can sell and they can estimate and they can project manage. And so what I say to them, I say, look, if you're going through a little bit of a valley time or a valley moment, I'll say, look, you've got to let someone go. You've got to get rid of some staff and then, to reduce your amount of overheads, because there's nothing that puts more pressure on your business than the size of you've got to know what your fixed expenses are. And I would encourage you to operate lean before you start to grow the business. And when you're growing the business, I want you to do, it's a two-stage play: expansion, consolidation, expansion, consolidation. Grow a little bit, make sure you got systems, make sure you're not losing, touch on your foundation, you're getting wobbly, because the height of the building is actually going to be determined by the size of your foundation. Now, we're all in construction, right? So you'll understand that concept. The height of a high rise is determined by the size of the foundation. So that's the same as we're building business. You're going to build the size of the business in height based on your foundation. So let's start with a really good foundation. So that to make the jump from superintendent across is definitely, it's a massive jump. And, this is what I would say. Talk to me, Bad, and I can't remember. Oh, yeah, Mr. Bad Major. Talk to me on email, max@businessforbuilders.ca, one question at a time, and then we can actually deep dive on that and really just kind of help you go through in an incremental stages, rather than me just trying to blurt this out to you. And then we've got some category organization in your business development process, even in this planning stage that you're in. And hey, Bad, who do you back in the AFL, bro? Don't tell me it's frigging Carlton. I'll not answer your emails. No, hit me up. We'll go to the next question. What do we got?
No, we're just gonna do a pro.
Oh, okay. So let's follow up. Look, if you want more of this, I just waffle on. I hope it really helps you and where you're going. And it really, he backs North. Okay, North Melbourne. No, North Melbourne. I think I've got that right.
Else said Richmond.
And you've got a Richmond lover. We won't hold that against you. If you want more of this info, I'd encourage you to get across to our podcast. I do this on a weekly basis, but I also do this on a Friday afternoon, Saturday if you're down under and in New Zealand. And so, get along to that. I'd love you to even hit me up on a comment. And if you want me to cover something in depth, so if you want to talk about go the Bulldogs, go the Doggies, if you want to really get something explained in detail, I can't, I'm really doing Q&A real quick here in TikTok land. But if you want me to drill down, just hit in the subject line, podcast business development or podcast systems, and shoot me that email. Mate, we're always looking. We don't want to go and talk about what I want to talk about. I want to talk about what my audience wants to talk about. So if you want to, hit me up on email and just one question at a time, and we can kick that backwards and forwards. We can do that end to end. Then that's great. But if you really want me to go deep on a subject, then let's hit me up on podcast and we can do that. Now, we're on Spotify. Thanks for the question. Is that Love Trouble? Love Trouble. That's a cool handle. Sweet as a nut, mate. Go podcast on YouTube. No, YouTube. Spotify.
It's on YouTube as well.
Okay, it's on YouTube as well. We video.
You can watch it. You can watch. Yeah,
you can watch this ugly dial and yap on. But yes, Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, even Google. I think we do it on Google. Yeah, but we're on Spotify. So
Love Troubles asked, what about landscaping? Should I, as a business owner, stop making money to go study to get the big job?
Okay, I need clarity.
If he wants to get back.
Yeah, hit me up on email because that one. So he's a landscaper. Is that what the question?
Yeah,
he's a landscaper, and he wants to do what?
he's asking if I should stop working to go to school.
No. Look, in this day and age, now, look, don't quote me. One guy's POV. So don't come back to me and friggin' smash me because I've given you some shit advice. I don't know you. This is what I would say. I left school when I was grade 11, right? Now I'm a trainer and a CEO, which is friggin' hilarious, right? All my teachers would get a friggin' royal kick out of that. But really what I would say is I think, the School of Hard Knocks is what got me here because of my love. Now, I wanted to master this business, and I know that there's a lot of you out there that go, yeah, this is what I really love to do. I want to master this shit. I want to really get good at it. And so what I would say is what mastery is all about is a very good relationship with pain, okay, and a really high level of desire for education. Now, I don't mean book education, but I know that I've read a lot of books and I constantly look at ways of improving my understanding of what it is that I do. So I know that if, I tried to do a diploma in business and management when I first come to Canada. And the minute that I got my work visa or whatever you call my permanent residency, I was like, I'm out of here. I'm hitting the road. I'm hitting the cold, hard face. Because to me, I really enjoy the grind and I love the challenge. And I love the pioneer spirit. So I love pushing the frontiers. That's where I love to play. I don't like to play in a classroom. Now, if you're different and you're a good student, it doesn't take much to be better than me. But if you love that environment, go do that. But I would say to you, whatever makes you happy, and if that's where you really love it, then I want you to go there. But I wouldn't subscribe to one or the other. I wouldn't say do it my way, and I certainly wouldn't say go to a classroom. Do what's good for you. I hope that helps. Love trouble? Yep. Go. What's the next?
No, you just said thanks.
Yeah, sweet as, man. Look, happy to help. Yeah. I mean, with the digital thing in this day and age, just be careful, what's on YouTube. But you can get a shit ton of stuff on YouTube, podcast, and it doesn't ever sink in with you straight away. It doesn't sink in with me. I'm always listening to audiobooks are another good one because I spend a lot of time in the vehicle and I'm into rock and roll, right? Playing a cover band, cool. But when I'm driving between appointments, say, I'm actually going to be listening to a podcast or an audiobook, and I use music as an outlet, but I don't do it for entertainment. What helps me really get fired up is I have this really good relationship with pain, and I have this really high level desire and hunger for knowledge in what I'm doing. Now, I just stay in my lane, right? So I'm not going to go out and make shit tons of money, doing rock and roll because it's just an outlet for me. What I do is I don't do podcasts on cover bands. This is what I do, and this is where I make money, and this is what I love to do the most. And so, yeah, that's where I'd focus on. Just you can do a lot of self-education for sure.
We had Daniel ask,
yep,
best way to start a business. That's pretty broad.
Well, it depends on what you're doing now, Daniel.
Yeah.
Daniel Hayes, 91. I'd love to know where you're from, Dan, while I'm giving this some thought. But I don't know that there's a best way. Here we go again. It's not like that there's one avenue because we're all so different and we come from different backgrounds and we have different skill sets and we do have different relationships with risks. We do have different relationships of the way or different types of way we learn. It really, all I can tell you is what I do, and then you've got to figure out for yourself. So Daniel Hayes, it depends on how old you are, what your background is, what makes you happy. I've got some guys within Smith & Sons that just don't want to grow the business over $250,000 a year because they just like doing everything themselves and they just can't put up with other humans because they got trust issues, right? And they don't like the risk. They just want to stay in control one-to-one. They don't want to have staff. They don't want to have teams. So I don't know that I think the key is to start, but take small steps. Listen to your intuition. What's your gut telling you? Are you feeling happy about doing this? Like, it's Friday afternoon. I busted my ass all week, but you know what? I'm definitely going to be in the office tomorrow because there's things that I want to work on. And I know that on Saturdays, it's kind of a real quiet time for me to be able to do that and focus. So I'm really in tune with how I roll. I've had 2 days of training with this project consultant and I'm feeling run down right now, but actually being in the office tomorrow, actually exploring this quality assurance program and initiative that I want to roll out, that's actually going to energize me. So it's like I go to work to relax. Figure that one out. That's friggin' hilarious. That'll mess your friggin' head up a little bit. Sweet. So I hope that helps, Dan.
He just hit you back.
To doing my own stuff.
Not.
What's that?
That's all, to do my own stuff.
Look, I think, I would say small steps, Dan. I don't know, like I said, how much time you've had in the business, whether you're, a brand new tradesperson, whether you've got out of your apprenticeship
or
and
even
you're just
if
starting
he is
out.
a tradesperson.
Yeah, or even if he's a tradie. Like, we haven't got context.
Yeah.
And it's super important that I get context. Otherwise, I get kicked the shit out of on TikTok.
Yeah, if we want to go into talking about that, segue into the
Holy
client's
shit.
video.
Hands up all those who saw my video about what we do in communicating with clients about appliances. Oh, wow. Didn't that little video get lit up?
If you haven't seen it, you should probably go have a look at it. It's a pretty good video.
Yeah. Anyway, so look, that's where we're up to. So yeah, look, you can get all this information either on podcast, YouTube, Business for Builders. I'm sure the links will be in the bios, and then more than happy to chat with you one question at a time on email, max@businessforbuilders.ca. And that's the kind of stuff I'd probably reply to you guys and gals on a Saturday and a Sunday or whatever, or even at my leisure, on a weeknight if I'm got my feet up watching a bit of Netflix or whatever. So, all right, we have another question. Okay, I think, is this Jacob Turner?
Yep.
G'day, Jacob. Thanks for the question. What's the best route to getting Cert 4? Been looking up courses for all my builder's license. I would bet. No, look, I'll tell you what I did. Love Trouble. He's throwing me some love about the mullet. Yeah, baby. Look, and I really appreciate Mr. Love Trouble having a listen to my podcast. And look, I really appreciate you doing that. But look, the Cert 4, I'm pretty sure I did my Cert 4 on building and construction, and I did it by correspondence. Now, I tried to get it through the orthodox ways, but I just couldn't do it. It just wasn't going to work for me. I had to do it in my own time because I was running the biz. And so for me to do a Cert 4 via correspondence, now I didn't do it much better. Matter of fact, they gave me a 3-month warning and said, now mind you, it cost me somewhere between $3,500 and $5,500 or something to do that Cert 4 in building and construction. And I got within 3 months, and they said, you need to, in 3 months, if you don't finish it, it's now going to expire. And basically I would have lost my investment, that $3,500 to $5,500. And so basically what I had to do was really double down, and it hurt me, but I was really glad I did because that's when I got my builder's license. So I would consider going, if you're in Oz, Jacob, and I think, is Jake Turner in Oz?
I don't know.
I'll take a guess because I'm pretty sure, I don't know if Cert 4 is a national credential or whether it's an Aussie credential, but let's say reach out to some associations like Master Builders, HIA, Home Industry Association. I can't even remember what it's called. I was a member with them for 10 years. And then, if you're in Canada, it's Canadian Home Builders Association or whatever, and they might actually be able to point in the right direction of someone who can give it. Jacob Turner's at Noosa. Righto, mate. Yeah, look, Master Builders is where I went and did it through. So if you're a Master Builders, member, you'll get a discount on that as well. So that would be, and you know what? If you can write shit down, Damien Tian is the guy who was my representative, and I don't know that he's there anymore, but he might be because he was a pretty happy dude, and he helped me out a shit ton. So he was the guy that I was dealing with from Master Builders to do that, Jake. So hopefully that's good for you, man. Now, I've got another question here. Sandy Central, wages versus contract as a newly qualified builder. Now, I'm going to assume Sandy S. Central, I'm going to assume that you're talking about have guys work for you full time versus subbing it out. Sandy, can you just quickly get back to us on a quick comment, mate, and just let me know if I've got that right? Wages versus contract. In other words, if you're a qualified builder, are you going to have subcontractors do the work or your own in-house guys? If I can get that qualified, that would sort of help me out a lot. Do we have any more questions in the pipe? Anything else that we've missed?
We're pretty caught up to questions, but I have some if you want to go on to another one.
Yeah, just give us another one. While I'm waiting for Sandy to get back to me, as soon as we see Sandy come back in, I want to know what he's talking about, wages versus contract. Go ahead.
How do you disqualify clients?
They do it to themselves. And honestly, I'm looking for red flags from the get-go. So look, a lot of the time, I just, when I had this sales project consultant, let me see if I can digress. Righto, Jake. Cheers, mate. Was going to go down to the normal TAFE route. Yeah, mate, that's night courses, and that's bloody super hard, dude. That'll grind you if you're in the building game doing whatever on job sites. that's going to really be a bit of a tough gig. So yeah, hopefully that works out, mate. And send me an email if you have some success there, and I'd really be happy to sort of back that one up. So we're still waiting for Sandy to get back to me. But how do I disqualify clients? Look, in the first phone call and in the first site visit, I'm actually looking for red flags as to why I don't want. Righto. Yeah. Okay. I'm looking for reasons why I want to disqualify the client, not because I want to be an arsehole. It's just because I'm very selective. That would be it. You know, if I get a lot of inquiry, I've got to actually be. I can't work for everyone. I just can't spread myself that thin. So, you know, it's really a case of, you know, I've got to look for reasons why I would prioritize, you know, when, you know, they might be really good people, but this one's more price orientated with this, whereas this other one's more quality orientated. So I'm actually going to go and make the decision to work for that, you know, that one quality orientated client. So getting back to Sandy, right. Having subbies working for me. Yeah, look, it's okay. So if you're doing new homes, easy. I built $1 million worth of townhouses and I did it all subs. The only stuff I had full time was I had my estimator, I had a superintendent, and I had an admin. I did not have a single employee. It was all subbed out. It was all on purchase orders because I was really hot and heavy on cost engineering and cost control. The challenge with having subbers is they run their own routines, and therefore sometimes you can't get them. So you're like, I need you to start that frame next week, and they're like, well, I've just started doing roof trusses on one, and I can't get to you for 3 weeks, and you're like, geez, that's the trouble you're going to have, right? Then the flip side is where you have full-time staff. Now you're obligated to that full-time staff. You have ultimate control over their 40 hours a week, but now you've got a noose around your neck as far as your commitment to pay their wages. So, you know, you can make money. You'll probably make more money on your in-house guys, but the subs are going to put out probably faster because they're committed to getting through a shit ton of work because they want to make more money. You're not going to have to worry about if, you know, you're going to have to cover all of their, you know, work safe BC stuff, whereas your subs, you've just got to make sure they're covering their own stuff. They're probably running everything through a company, so that obligation is with them. So there's pros and cons, man. Again, it's not a case of subs or wage guys. It's subs and wage guys, but it just depends on, you know. And so if you're doing a lot of new stuff, you'll get away with more subs, mostly subs. One guy you might, you know, your superintendent might be able to put on the bag and do some, you know, put some door handles on at the end of a job or whatever. But if you're doing a lot of renos, you might find that you're going to need a lead carpenter and a carpenter's helper. To be able to sort of get through a lot of that demo, the small jobs like bathrooms, kitchens, demo, framing, even boarding or drywalling or gyprocking or whatever. But Sandy's got, he's got subbies working. Well, he's just saying ? Subbies working for me. So again, Sandy, it just depends on what sort of work you're doing, man. It just depends if you're doing that new stuff or if you're doing mostly renos. And you know what, if you're split between new homes and renos, what you'll have is you'll have two guys that do the reno stuff and then you'll sub out all the other. I have an org chart for my operators that basically says, this is how you set up your organization if you're doing new, and this is how you set up your organization if you're doing renos. So it's literally, there's two methodologies around how your office interfaces with new homes, how your office interfaces with renovation projects. So hope that helps. What else we got? Anything else? We're wrapping
coming up on an hour. Yeah, if you want to wrap up, if anybody has any other questions.
Righto, we're going to close this out. I did this the other day in the podcast, and all of a sudden we got some 11th hour questions. The what? All right. Look, hey, and just so you know, I think when we're doing these live things, if you click that little bell at the top right-hand corner of your screen or left, I kind of cock that up all the time. You'll get notifications when we go live. So if you need a bit of a reminder. When we hit these live sessions, you know, be sure to hit that bell and you'll get a bit of a heads up from TikTok that we're going live. And look, we'd really appreciate you doing that if you're going to chime in and take the time to sit here and just listen to me. So, one more question from Dan.
Yeah.
Yep. How did I start off? Dude, I did my apprenticeship. Yeah, I mean, I did my apprenticeship with a guy in Brisbane and, you know, just did my apprenticeship. You know what? You're welcome, Jake. You know, I wondered why it pissed me off that I was an apprentice to a builder back in the day because I ended up working for Lenny the concreter, Gary the bricklayer, doing landscaping, boxing driveways, boxing swimming pools. And it's just like, Phil, I want to go and knock frames up. I want to go play with wood. And it, you know what? Now, obviously, I realize that doing work for, a builder as opposed to just a straight framing contractor was the best thing that ever happened to me. So, by third year, and I think I shared this on a podcast, by the time I was a third year apprentice, I was doing contracts. I was doing frames on contract with another one of Phil's carpenters, and I was splitting that contract 70-30. So by the time I was a third year apprentice, I was already subcontract, totally illegal, but I was loving it because I was making a shit ton of money and I was spending it as fast as I could make it. Yeah, living rock and roll. So that's how I started out. And then the minute that I got out of my apprenticeship, I pretty much went back working for Phil as a subcontractor. And by then he was kicking on with townhouses. So I was doing triplexes and fourplexes and fiveplexes, all of that. And then it's ironic when I finally got into my own building game, one of my biggest jobs was a fiveplex townhouse development for an investor. And I really enjoyed doing that. So that's how I got started, but I was really hungry to get out and about. I didn't want to sit there working under Phil's wing. And I ended up spending 20 years just doing framing and second fix and, cladding and soffits and shit outside. And then I got tired of working for other superintendents or supervisors. And I went and got my builder's license, and then kind of the rest was history. Ended up buying a franchise with Smith & Sons, and then end up, 7 years ago coming out to Canada here and getting into it as a CEO, helping all kinds of general contractors see the light and build high-performance, kick-ass businesses. That's what we do.
Yeah,
all right, we're going to wrap up. Is there anything else? It was great chatting with everybody that's put questions up. I really appreciate jamming with everybody. Everyone that's just chimed in and had a listen. I really hope you've got something out of it, and we really look forward to doing it. So next Tuesday, you're welcome, Dan. Appreciate it, man. Have a great weekend. It's the long weekend here in British Columbia. I think it's only BC, or is it Canada-wide? I don't even know what the holiday is, but it's another public holiday. Sandy, mate. All right, look, I appreciate you chiming in, man. So we're just going to keep doing this. This is a really long, hard grind. You're not going to sort shit out in one podcast or one live or one whatever. But what we're going to do is we can keep this sparring is really what it's going to be good for you. Us as sparring, it helps me, and I'm glad that it's starting to help you guys and gals as well. So we can take it to the top. Just keep doing this, one foot in front of the other. Always be getting better, always improving. And I'm really looking forward to hearing how you guys succeed in what it is that you're doing in the area that you're doing it in. So look, all the best, everyone. Have an awesome weekend. We will hit you guys up live on Tuesday Canadian time next week. We're going to be recording another podcast then. If you got time during the day, chime in, and we'll even do a quick Q&A, real quick Q&A, not a friggin' 9-minute Q&A. You're killing me. No, it's going to be good. We'll do whatever it takes. So have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time on the next episode of Business for Builders TikTok Live. Rock and roll, folks. Go build a kick-ass business. See you next time. Cheers.